alternate
Okay.
วันนะคะ
Okay. One comes, we can place closer if you want.
Just record the feedback part.
Is she good?
Ishika.
I just take it.
Okay.
It's on.
Okay, so coming to first to the feedback session. Good job, both of you. First part, starting prayer session, you got it, so no need to give feedback on that. You missed. And the sequence, are we religious about the sequence? Not necessarily, but a particular consistency of how we do will help, because yoga is about just relaxation and people close their eyes and follow a protocol that they are used to, unless you start an absolute new session for a completely new group and you stick to that protocol. If you are shadowing, if you are substituting our classes all over the place, it's always nice to keep a consistent protocol so that people just automatically take their hands back, automatically bend back, automatically bend forward. So suddenly when you change it, it's startling to them, and that's not going to be very productive for yoga class. That's why. No other particular reason. But however, having said that, if you went to a corporate setting where you don't want to be chanting Sahanavavati, that's okay. What you did was just fine. 3 ohms, take your hands back, bend forward. That's why I asked if there was any reason why you wanted to skip the starting mantra. It's good to learn. It's good as a teacher to be aware of the practice and also use the practice of chanting. That will develop your own grounding in the ability to chant as well as in the meaning of the chant. Why are we doing what we are doing is also important. So that way when I start as a journey of teacher and student. And when we say teacher and student, it's at all times I'm also if I am a teacher, I'm also a student. So it doesn't necessarily have to be they are the students and I'm teacher. That brings up ego too. So as the teacher and student relationship is everywhere. The nature is a teacher and I'm a student. They are actually teaching me too, because their response to my instructions is my teacher, right? So there is a lot that happens, and we are all students and teachers at the same time. So that Guru-Shishya relationship where we begin as a one-on-one journey and then taking that to the larger good, that is Sarve Bhavantu, that is the goal of this. And so chantings help in reminding ourselves of that. All of that exists there. So keep that in mind. Now, coming to these practices, I want not me to give the comment, but you all self-comment first. What do you think? How did you do?
I think I did okay, but I feel like I could have been more clear about the commands and everything.
Okay, you felt you could have been a little more clearer. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Any particular comment on anything that you felt was very good or you felt was messed up? Both. Appreciate yourself too. Thank yourself for doing that.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You felt neutral about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Ishika?
I think it was more detailed because I was very brief.
What was very brief?
Like for the
Kapalbhati?
yeah,
Kapal.
and like some of the other asanas and stuff.
You felt you could have spent more time on the asana?
Said like more,
The final pose?
said more like instructions, like
More instructions? Okay. That's how you felt. Okay. Others? How did you feel about their practice?
Ishika, what do you call this? Abdomen.
And when you're saying abdominal, then it's not.
Yeah, that is
when
right.
it's abdomen. You did a good job. Like you
Yeah.
noticed that you made some unclear directions, but then you realized that and you corrected it. So that was good because you're like, oh wait, that doesn't make sense. Let me fix
Wait,
that.
what's that?
It's just like when we were telling us to turn around from like our back to our stomach, and then you realized
Yeah.
the directions are unclear. So then you clarified it. That was helpful to do that. But I think in the first pose you took, the first sitting pose, you didn't actually tell us the name of that question with Vanessa and that. You just had us do it. So
Okay.
yeah, that reminded us of it.
Name of the asana helps.
Yeah.
I
I think one time we were like lying down on our backs and then you were giving instructions, so we didn't really know what to look at you. But I think you corrected that the next time around. So we like laid on our bellies and watched you.
Correct. So supine asanas are the challenge all the time, because how are we going to make them lie down and still give the instruction? Should we have them face their head on the other side or head on this side? There are lots of those debates that can happen. We can debate that for phase 2. For now, just follow the basic what you're doing, and then we can discuss what are the variations, what are the different ways to do and how. But for now, when you want to give a demo, make them come on their belly, then give the demo either 1 at a time or 2 at a time is also fine, like complementary poses. If you want to do Navasana and Setu Bandhasana, do both. Show them both and then have them lie down and then you give the instructions. Yeah. That can be a quick demo with very brief instruction. And then when they lie down, give them detailed instructions. Any other feedback?
Accuracy, you did like a good job of holding the asanas for a while, so we were actually in the asana. But maybe you could, after you have us get into the pose, maybe you could then walk around and observe, because you were standing up there with your eyes closed doing the asana with us. So then you could observe to see if someone is not like bending all the way to the side or something like that.
Yeah. So we tend to have our own eyes closed, we tend to have our own practice, we focus on the instructions more. This is all beginner teacher syndrome, so it's okay if you did that. Eventually we should be able to keep our eyes open, half open, and just simply scan the whole room without us getting like into tension, right? Oh wait, what are they doing? So when I'm doing that, I'm not really in the asana myself, at least in the mood of the asana. I should be in the mood of the asana as a teacher so that I can instruct very well, because it has to come from the experience, not as an instruction. Again, these are all super duper 2-year experience, 3 years experience teachers, but still I have to give you that goal, because some of you might already, start inculcating that. But don't worry if you did not, or if you are not able to do that. Initially, it's like a conscious driver who is very busy trying to see where are the buttons and when do I press the left signal, right signal, all those things. That's okay, that's fine. But eventually the goal has to be, I just have to be relaxed through the practice and not be busy worrying about everybody. Oh, that person, no, let me rush to them. You should go to them, but then at the same time you have to be relaxed and calm through the practice. Yeah. Any other feedback?
I thought maybe just adding a little bit more time after the asanas to kind of observe the changes, and I think maybe you cut the just lying in child's pose after, I don't remember which asana it was, but
Trust.
yeah, after that you can make it a little bit longer, but I really
Good.
I also could do the IRT thing. After you relax, you can say,
Yeah, after
Take
IRT it
something.
was like quickly, it was more instruction based as opposed to the experience based. That's why it's nice to get into the mood of the asana, and then you know how tense you feel, and then you give them a little more relaxation. So that's why. If you just focus on instruction, you will be ritualistic. If you focused on your own experience, then you will be more logical and rational. You want more logical and rational. Ritual is a guide, but your own experience has to eventually be the practice.
Is there anything on the DRT or like, is there any feedback on the DRT?
Any feedback on the DRT?
How do you pronounce this word?
I was going to give an entire scoop on DRT. So give me you were okay with DRT. You were mostly reading the instructions, right? So how can we give feedback? So, but then I'll cover a little bit more on the relaxation part later. That's why I said let's do this more than just giving the feedback on the class, because the reason I'm saying it's okay for 3 of you to combine and give the class, you have already mastered the art of teaching in terms of giving instructions, in terms of voice modulation, in terms of the general flow and all that. Now you have to get to the teaching the students part, right? That mock teaching has been pretty okay now. Now mock teaching and the real teaching has there's a big difference between the two. That's why all these additional sadhana points are going to help you become the real good teacher. At the same time, real good yogi. The whole goal you have come here for is to become a yogi, not so much as okay, let me just go become a teacher. None of you, as I see, are just interested in just opening a studio and start teaching and making money. That's not the case in 100% of all of you. So let's focus on how to become a good yogi too. Okay? And what else? Any other comments for them?
I think I like practice from last time. Because last time it was amazing.
Yeah.
So definitely see at least 50% reduction in what we did from last time. It seems like lack of practice. That's basically it.
Yeah, somebody noticed it. I was going to say that, but somebody absolutely. This is perfectly stated, and we can easily see the difference when you don't practice anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I have to say last time you guys were fluent.
Yeah.
It was amazing. You stopped, she started. It was very smooth.
In their defense, they had more time to practice last time
Yeah.
because we didn't know our routine until.
Yeah, and actually that routine also was. I did not expect that you would take that routine so seriously. That's why it took time. Then when I started getting the emails and
Emails and
texts,
text
I was
messages.
like, wait a minute, that's what they want to do. That was more of a hint to say, hey, this is how practices can be, and I was going to use that set to explain to you how flow can be after that. But looks like you wanted the set to actually present, so that was there was a miscommunication there. Otherwise, I would have done it like a long time. Okay, that's fine. Then now coming to the subtle points, Vajrasana. I know that you are a long time yoga bhakti person, so you would have gotten this instruction, right, from your mom. Turn and come. We have changed that because we found somebody got injured also in the class. This was one of our teachers who was teaching. So when you start rotating the kneecap like this and the other way like this, and then when you release, you can really tear your meniscus. So we are not talking about young children here because you are resilient, but many of our teachers our students are in mid-40s and 50s, so they will surely not have very strong knees. So it's nice to just say bend on one side and then just simply go. So you're not really rotating the caps. Yes.
So my question on that was why, so if you are doing Ushtrasana, need not be in Dandasana. The starting position can be Vajrasana, so everybody knows that because
Yeah.
I think that instruction is slightly tricky.
It's
Because
tricky.
you need not be in Dandasana and then bend to come to Vajrasana.
No, not necessary. Not necessary at all.
Okay.
That's why what we say is come up on your knees. That's our instruction.
No, I think the instruction is stay in Dandasana, then roll your legs back.
Yeah,
Exactly
but
what
we
they did.
tell you how to come from Dandasana
Okay.
because our sitting pose is Dandasana, and when you are in Dandasana, how to come. But let's say you are in Vajrasana already. Then we are not saying we don't expect you to say, okay, come to Dandasana now, let's go back. Not necessary. When you come down to sit, how can you relax the best? You can relax the best like this, right? This is the best relaxation when you sit. So when you stand and you come down to sitting, this is how you want to sit. And in fact, people with knee pain, anybody can sit like this, right? But everybody cannot sit in Vajrasana. So you have to account for that. And then now you finished. As soon as you sit, ideally in a real good, very slow yoga practice, you stand up and then when you sit down, you really have to acclimatize yourself to sitting also. You're so relaxed and you're so deep into your own experience that any change in the pose also you have to wait in a classic situation, right? Because assume that every asana is like a meditative practice. So you sit here, right, in meditation, even a small movement you will not be tolerating even that. You're so grounded in yourself, you don't feel like even swallowing your saliva, leave alone from standing to sitting. So that is the extent of depth that is needed in your awareness. So when you stand, observe the blood change in the blood flow and how you feel and everything, the whole orientation. You wait for the orientation and then you ground yourself in the standing position and then you practice your asanas. Then you gently come down and you sit in the Shitila Dandasana and just you observe how you feel and then slowly come to Dandasana Sthiti. Now if you want to go to Vajrasana or you want to go to Ustrasana, gently bend, your knees come up and slowly come up to. That's how every movement has to be in a given very, very meditative yoga. But our practice of yoga has been quite diluted in terms of the mindfulness, because yoga is a stretching exercise, yoga is a bending exercise. That's yoga is exercise in the first place. That word itself doesn't make sense for yoga. So it's not an exercise, it's an act of undoing, it's an act of non-exercising your mind, body, everything. As little of an exercise as possible and as deep of a grounding as possible. So that part, when you understand, then all of this makes sense. But still, having said all of that, we understand how the present world is, and we go to their level and slowly bring them to whatever extent we can to the mindfulness and awareness based practices. So we don't want to say, okay, that is not yoga, so I'm going to sit here, you guys come to me. Never, it's not going to happen. So you have to go there. That's what compassion is. Compassion is if someone has fallen, you're not going to say, oh, you have fallen, I'm going to be on the mountain, I'm just going to put my hand down, but my hand is from the mountain only this much. They cannot hold you. So I want to lift you, but I'm not going to come down from where I am, is not going to help. Hence, you come down to their level, you give them whatever, more loosening practices, more whatever practices to get that exercise element, and then say, okay, now are you happy? Okay, now let's go into asana practice. Let's stand there and let's meditate. That kind of stuff. So you sort of want to go there, take them, and then hold their hand and slowly, inch by inch, start moving towards the mindfulness practice. Okay? Yeah.
There is one famous yoga show that do it one leg at a time.
One?
One leg at a time.
Yeah. That is the given. Even we had the same instructions in our manual until somebody injured that way. So
the
that's
yoga
why.
show's promoting bad stuff.
Yeah. Yoga Shala?
The yoga show's promoting bad stuff.
No, they are not promoting bad stuff. That is fine. For a young yogi, it's nice to rotate the kneecaps and go like that. But we are not in that. We are giving yoga through all the 40s and 50s. Until then, they have not practiced yoga. Yoga is supposed to begin at the age of 8 or 10, and you continue to practice like that. But that is not how we take it, right? Hence, we are giving safety practices. Okay? So nothing wrong with that. We did it for 10 years, only one injury. So still not acceptable. Okay? Now, Ustrasana. You asked people to come into half, okay? And then you held us for a long time. And then you said, oh, if you want, come to full. And you held us for another long time. Back bend, in principle, has to be 1/3 of the forward bend. Okay? The time works. So you don't want to make a stand back bend and then go into another full. So either let them do half Ustrasana or full Ustrasana. That's perfectly fine. Okay? That's the other feedback. That applies to everybody. That's why we are giving all this feedback. The feedback is not necessarily for them. Navasana, twice is good, but it would be nice if you made us hold that long to do one full Navasana and one half Navasana. So because slightly different muscle groups are involved in half and full, so that way you are giving us both practices. And you can, at each time, you can say, you can do whatever you like better. Let's say if they like to do half Navasana both the times, fine. Okay? Half, you know what's the difference between half and full, right? Yeah. Half is the lower part. This part of the back is on the ground. So it's easier to balance. It's also, there is a slightly different set of muscles. You want to try? Half and full? Yeah. Please try. Half Navasana and full Navasana.
I'll watch her.
Yeah, arch and demonstrate.
So,
I don't know it. I tried it.
so in half, you are actually pushing the your back is actually in its natural curve, and you're using more of a lower abs. In full, however, it's slightly different groups of muscles. A little more upper abs also get involved.
Wait, this
Okay.
is on the half.
No.
That's full. Yeah, sitting. Full is done actually sitting, not even lying down. We did not know how to position it right. That's why. So you have to stretch yourself up and back. So you keep the spine in its neutral position. You use the lower abs, very strong. It becomes very strong. And in half Navasana, you are using these muscles too. Okay. So that is the. So give them one each.
Or what if I helped you? Could you do it better? Can I help you?
In Navasana, you don't want to help. No, bend your knees. Bend your knees.
Bend your knees.
Bend your knees. Yeah. You go up. This is just as fine. You're still working. It's okay.
Help?
Yeah, it helps.
On your knees.
And until she develops the core, right? It's okay to slightly bend the knees.
I don't feel anything anymore.
Then slowly, no, but keep your arms in. Bend your knees, but keep your arms in.
She's okay. She's like fine, right? Even keeping the knees straight. So she won't know the importance of bending the knees. You will know the importance of bending the knees.
Bend it until you feel it.
Yeah, and don't go back. Don't roll your lower back. Your lower.
Like this, right?
Okay. Push your lower back. This one and so wait. Go up, hold. Push this. There we go. There we go. That's hard, right? Push this in and stretch
feel it.
backward. Yeah, and stretch up. There we go. Yay! That's it. That's hard. Yeah, you can also hold your toes.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Not wide apart. Not wide apart. There we go.
She can do it. Not everybody can do it.
That's
Yeah.
so much easier.
Okay, so Kapalbhati. Kapalbhati, it's good to give a little count instead of, so let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do your Mississippis. And then up to 7, 8, and then say you now do on your own. So it sets a tone. And for 120. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3. So, and can be in your mind, you do the one. So that way you lead them with the pace. Always is very effective. And resting in between Kapalbhati was very little. Kapalbhati, duration of 1 minute was perfect. I was counting. You gave exactly 1 minute, which is great. Count in your mind. People usually say, okay, let's do 1 minute of Kapalbhati. After 20 seconds, they stop. That's not effective. So give them 1 minute, always with an instruction. If you want to come stop earlier, that's fine. Okay. Next, Bhramari. Bhramari is always challenging. You said 9 rounds of Bhramari. One major mistake, I should say, is push your earlobes with your thumbs. Push your ear. No, please don't do that. It's very painful to do that. Okay? So you want to, push your earlobe either outside or gently close your ears with your thumbs. Okay? Gently. No, don't push. Yeah, she said push your That's like scary. Yeah, you don't want to do that. And the other thing, when you give 9 rounds with your eyes and ears closed, the whole crowd is going to be haywire. So usually, if that's the case, you want to give 5 Bhramari with ears and eyes closed and 5 with ears open. Okay, that's also works better in terms of synchronization. That makes it 10, which is perfect. And silence was okay, good. And we'll come to the importance of silence, importance of chanting and DRT after we have our breakfast. Any other comments to make? Any other questions to ask? So sounds good. We'll start.
One thing.
Yeah.
They didn't do Surya Namaskar.
Yeah, that was not there in the
Not
first.
there.
So what we have done, that set was, I was trying to give you a set as a sort of like how you can teach or how you can practice,
Okay.
right? I have even given the theme of these sets. The first theme has been without Surya Namaskars. Initially, we in a group practice too, right? If you don't feel comfortable, Surya Namaskar is not easy to teach. That's why it's okay to skip. And also, for some groups also when you're teaching, when you start a new group and you introduce, in a first class you start introducing Surya Namaskars, it's overwhelming for them. So don't do that. This set, I think you missed Trikonasana and Parivrtta Trikonasana loosening.
No, it's not.
It's not there. We should probably add that. I'll do that. Enough loosening to give jogging, side bending, maybe twisting. We gave twisting, right? And didn't have twisting and side bending. Good enough. So we have a good combination of loosening, up and down also, right? Is there up and down?
Yeah.
Yeah, up and down, side bending, twisting, and jogging. I think it's correct. It's perfectly fine. No need. So what is happening here? Look at this, right? The logic. Check the logic of the first set. We have some breath and body synchronization, standing, breath and body synchronization, 2 of them, good enough. And then we have loosening wise, jogging and Mukhadauti. Well, that will help you with developing good aerobic, endurance, cardio endurance. Then comes the waist and the spine, which you have to prepare for the asanas. So we did twisting, side bending, upward and up and down. Your spine is taken care of. Purposely, I did not add Sukshma Vyayam because if you add a lot of Sukshma Vyayam, then that time is taken away from the asanas. So you can alternate your class. Some days give more Surya Namaskar, Sukshma Vyayam. Some days give more of the spine stretching exercise. Okay, these are and also usually when we give the twisting, a lot of these shoulder muscles are already stretched. So I just played around with that. Then comes the asanas. Look at the way there are enough very good set of standing, sitting, prone and supine. If you really chose a minimal set like that, this is a very rounded, very simple with no Surya Namaskars, just an easy to practice asana for yourself too. Except for Surya Namaskar, everything else for especially for younger crowd, you just add Surya Namaskars to it and that will be it. So it's a very good rounded practice. Where do we need Surya Namaskar, Sukshma Vyayam, joint loosening practices? Usually for the older crowd because they have a lot of tightness in their joints. Children are okay, younger kids are okay. So if you just added Surya Namaskars to it, it's a good practice. For the initial set of classes, try to avoid Surya Namaskars, okay, because that's overwhelming for the students. If you just practice this, they'll say, oh yeah, this is easy. So they should get a feeling that I can do yoga. And if a lot of practices are added, then they'll say this is very difficult. So you don't want to give that. That is the set one. So every set we have defined and the theme has been given. In some couple of cases we have added the inversions because inversion is a good practice for us. Setu Bandhasana, she did a fantastic job of doing it twice, and in one of the cases I wish you had added this one, that is put the hands and support the waist. This is almost like inversion. Many people who cannot go do inversion, they can support their waist with the hands, and that will be already taking you high enough to get that semi-inversion. Okay, many people cannot do inversion anyway, so it will be good to give this. So this is a very nice basic set with very little scope for contraindications. That is the idea. Okay.
So is it not necessary to include a twisting asana? Is it not necessary to include a twisting asana?
Twisting
I
asana.
already did twisting and loosening, so.
Yeah, we gave some twisting in the loosening practices, and we just left
But
it
not
there.
necessarily asana.
It is necessary. Necessary, definitely necessary. We can. That's a good point, actually. What did we do in the?
Because we did Navasana and Supine.
No, in sitting. What did we do?
Question.
Paschimottanasana.
And Ushtrasana, right?
We can add Vakrasana to that.
Yeah.
That will do it. But twisting and side bending and all was done. So there's some twisting involved in there anyway. But yes, you're right. Adding Vakrasana to it makes it perfect. You can add Vakrasana to it. We'll add that. So that makes it a perfect set. Bhujangasana, Shalabhasana, very important practice is Bhujangasana, Shalabhasana, Navasana and Setubandhasana. You got all the core practices there and spine strengthening practice. Bhujangasana gives spine strength. Bhujangasana and Shalabhasana both give you spine strengthening. Navasana and Setubandhasana give you core strengthening and core stretching. So you are covered with all of these. Yes, one twisting will do it. So you can take this practice for months and you don't need anything else beyond this. And maybe, morning you can add Surya Namaskars, do your Surya Namaskars and go to work or go to school. Come back evening, do 1 hour of yoga 3 days a week or 4 days a week. You're set for good until we meet. That's how rounded this practice is. If we add Vakrasana or Matsyendrasana, Ardha Matsyendrasana, good enough. Okay? Anything else? So likewise, these other sets are also presented like that. Because for you to teach in your group practice, wherever you want to teach, if you want to take one and go and teach, you can do that. Okay, we'll have our breakfast, come back and discuss DRT, chanting, and a few other things. You want to switch this off?
Ashwini, can you give us IRT?
I'll give you IR. Yeah, sure. Let's have our breakfast and come back.
Thank you.